Hey, good morning. It is Sunday, time for Coffee Talk, and it is Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all you guys. Or alternately, if you're not a father, tell your dad happy Father's Day. If you can't do that, then give a thought to him. If you don't like him, I'm sorry. I can't help you with that. That just came to my mind as I was saying. Go tell your father how much you love him. Get a hug from your kids. Maybe you don't like your father. I don't know. It's, it's not that it's funny. I just think the situation is funny. My situation vis-a-vis Father's Day. This went off the rails immediately, which is perfect. This is exactly how Coffee Talk should go, because we're just sitting here chatting, have a coffee. Today I've got the 238 mug going on. Good coffee today, French roast. The kids are all asleep. The wife is still asleep. But pretty soon they're going to pile out and they're going to give me a relaxing Father's Day. So, what does a relaxing Father's Day have in it? Consist of was the word I'm looking for. What does it consist of? What does it consist of for you? For me, it would be to be able to do this and game and mess around and be left alone. But no, that's not that's not what's going to happen. My relaxing day is going to be chock full of events of relaxation until at the very end of it, I'm made a gigantic meal while I relax and have to interact with everybody. Oh man, it's all good. That is what I want to do. So for example, let me give you an example. Yesterday, the wife says, "Look, we're going to make you a big breakfast in the morning. What do you want?" And I'm thinking, well, I'm the breakfast making person. I'm really good at it. So I said, "Oh, you know what? I'd love to make breakfast for everybody. That's my thing. Then I like to do." And she said, "No, no, no. We'll make the breakfast for you. You just sit back and relax." And I'm thinking, I think I'd actually rather make the. I'm gonna have to sit back and watch my favorite meal that I'm really good at making made, and then I'm gonna have to love it. So I do love it. That really sounds crappy, but you know what I mean? It's kind of funny how we operate like that. We humans. What are we doing here? We're talking about tanks, aren't we? We're talking about a pixel tank game on Father's Day, and we haven't even talked about it. So, channel news, missions and specials, subjects du jour, and the big finish, a conclusion. Probably won't be a big finish, but there will be a conclusion. Channel news. I should edit out that part of it. Channel news. I did get a stream in. I don't know, what was it, Friday? That was a good one. A bunch of you came by. I appreciate that. I think my next one will be Monday, which is tomorrow. 9 to 12 is what I'm planning on. We are going to talk about my rig, so to speak. Somebody asked that question, and I thought I'd give you a little tour of the computer. So let me get that set up, and I will show you my rig. All right, here's a picture of it right here. Pretty large case. I'll show you all the specs as far as the different equipment that I use. Nice large case, which I liked because I can get my big grubby sausage fingers in there and move around and get the stuff put in there. I had a smaller Antec case for my two builds before that one. It became a little bit tough maneuvering in there, especially when you start putting large motherboards and big graphics cards and things in there, and several hard drives, yada yada. You can see this one's got the water cooling going on. The unit that's on top of the CPU is small, but it's got the two tubes to the big double fans for the actual cooling piece of it. And then you can see that I had to rig that a little bit with some plastic spacers and some long screws to make it set right over top of the two fans that are on the front of the case right there. That required a little bit of carving and let's call it case modification. You're going to find that if you're going to put water cooling on something. Usually you can get a pretty big fan to fit, but I'm looking at that setup right there and how close the PCI Express slots are to the CPU, And I'm thinking if I tried to put a great big Zalman fan or something on that, it would have never worked. So that was very interesting. It's almost like this one has to be set up for water cooling because any kind of big fan on top of that CPU is going to keep you from putting a graphics card on there of any size. That's one of the hard things about putting together a rig is trying to figure out if all those pieces are going to fit. And another reason why I get massive cases because there's a lot more room to maneuver. I did have one spacing issue, which I'll talk about in just a second, between the graphics card and my hard drive because I got a different kind of at that point was a fairly new kind of hard drive. We'll talk about that as we go there. So let me show you all the different things that I bought on Newegg for this thing. All right, so I won't get into this too much, but I will show you each one of the pieces and talk a little bit about it. Here's the tower, full tower windowed case, Corsair. It's got a nice side window on there. You can see the two fans on the front, really big case. This handle right here, I hate how it does that. Well, there we go. This handle right here is really handy. I don't know if you've had issues in the past with older cases. They're always fiddly to get the sides off. Sometimes there's screws and they slide in and yada yada. This thing is hinged on the back and it's got a big handle and you just open it up, which was fantastic. And guess what? There's one on each side, which was amazing. That was actually really good for putting stuff into this thing. I'm trying to see what else we got. Yeah, there's all the different views right there. It's quite large. I mean, it is. I don't know. You can see the dimensions on it there, but it's big. I mean, it is big, bigger than my Antec 900, which surprised me a little bit. Decent amount of USB ports and things like that on it. Won't get in that too much. So I bought a Asus ROG Strix 2370G gaming out of stock. This is discontinued or out of stock, not available, whatever it is. This was an interesting one for me. It was kind of a min run. It wasn't the top of the line gaming motherboard, but it was near. It was a good one. But what I did not anticipate, and it surprised me a little bit, is I only have two PCI Express slots on that. They're really close together, and as you can see, they're pretty close to the CPU slot right there. So maybe that is enough room to put a big Zalman or something, but I don't know. So just when I look at it, it doesn't look like a big standard fan kind of fan is going to work, mechanical fan, something that's not water cooled. So it's a tight little board, and it surprised me a little bit, I guess, at the end of the day. Two PCI Express slots is fine, but if you're going to SLI something, which I've never done, never bothered with, you can't put a PCI Express, you cannot put a PCI Express hard drive SSD on this thing, which is a really fantastic hard drive. And I don't know if that's going to be the architecture of the future. I don't know. What I do is about every year and a half, 2 years, I start looking at it again. I'm about the point where I'm going to start thinking about maybe another new computer in 6 months or something. So I don't know where the architecture has gone. Also, let me just caveat some of this by saying I am not the expert on this. I'm more of a power user. I can get this stuff. I can put it together. I can make it work. I can troubleshoot some minor stuff in the whatever it is in the boot stuff. See, I can't even remember what the word is. But as far as being a no kidding expert on how all this stuff works, that's not me. I mean, I'm good enough to be able to put one together, which makes me happy at least. So this is the one I used, the ROG Strix. It's got Wi-Fi built in. I've been pleased with it. I've never really had a problem with a motherboard. I just get a decent gaming motherboard, and so because I'm not at that level of knowledge of computers and really fine tuning and overclocking and stuff, I don't do much of that kind of thing. I don't worry too much about the motherboard other than making sure it's a decent one. Right? I'm not going to buy some El Cheapo, but I'm also not going to go buy the top of the line one because I think it adds stuff that I don't use, which is cool, but I don't use it. At the time, the 1080 Ti was pretty well at the top. As I understand, there's quite a few more. Is it now 2080 or something? I think they've gone into the 2000 series, that kind of thing. It is the GeForce GTX, the EVGA. I can't remember what the other. I can't remember what the competitor is. Anyway, I've always pretty much used the GeForce stuff. It's been great. I haven't run into anything that this thing couldn't do so far, and even to being able to play the game and make the videos. Right, So I can process the videos and play the game, and it never slows down, it never hiccups. So it really does a nice job with that. I've got, now here's the PCI Express SSD, and this thing is amazing. The word I cannot think of, the initial boot thing, whatever it is, that was slower than the Windows load was at first. Now the computer's been going for a year and a half. I haven't done a whole lot of cleaning up of it. I haven't done a reload of Windows, so now the Windows load is a little bit slower than the initial part of it. I'm hoping that word will come to me as I'm talking. It's early, folks, and I'm only halfway through the cup, so I will get there. If the word never comes to me, somebody put it down there. What is the initial boot up thing? It's driving me crazy. Anyway, this is it. And I have loved this thing. It's 800, 800 gigabyte. And I run World of Tanks on this thing. Any of the games that I'm currently playing and I'll put those on this SSD and then remove them later if I'm not doing that. Obviously, I've never removed World of Tanks off of it. The thing, though, about this and this is they're sitting on those two PCI Express slots that are pretty darn close together. And this thing is actually pretty thick. Thicker than I thought. When I looked at it, I'm like, oh, well, just put that little guy on there and it'll be fine. Well, the problem is they touch, which is not cool because the graphics card gets hot. And now they're touching and now their fans are, you just don't, get that going on. You get real warm. And I had to put a little plastic shim between them because when the graphics card gets really hot and the fans spin up to maximum speed, they go to plaid. I think what happens is as it heats up, they expand just a bit because I can hear them clicking on this thing. There's a piece of it somewhere. They're like, tick, 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 tick. I can hear it. So I had to put a plastic shim in there to just spread them out. That's not ideal. Why? Because it's putting side pressures on your PCI Express slots. So I guess of all the things, I've mentioned multiple times, of all the things I wish I had a slightly larger board that was not so tight on the PCI Express slots. That surprised me a little bit, actually. All right, I've got an i7 8700 Coffee Lake 6-core, 3.7 gigahertz, 4.7 turbo. Okay, so there it is. That's what I've got. I'll be honest, I don't know what a lot of that means, but that's what's in there. And it's been a really good core. Has not caused me any issues. I've got 16 gig and two 8 gig stacks or whatever we're calling there. What are those things? I can't remember. See, there's another word that just disappeared. I would have all this freshly on my mind if I was in the middle of a build. These have been fine. I haven't had any trouble with memory. It's been a long time since I've had trouble with memory in a computer. It used to be something you dealt with quite a bit. As long as you put enough in and they're relatively cheap. God, I can remember when they were insanely expensive. Now, if you're going top end, sometimes the brand newest stuff's going to be pretty expensive. But these days, it's pretty easy to get a lot of good memory that you don't have to worry too much about. 850 seems to be fine on that because I'm not using I don't have two graphics cards. I'm not running a whole bunch of hard drives, and I don't even know if SSDs really take that much these days. So there's not a whole lot on this rig, and I may even be a little overkill at 850. But there you go. I think that when I did the build, there was something that said a recommended wattage that you needed. So I went with this bad boy. And it's got what are we? That's a high-tech gold. There you go. Gold. That means you're saving the universe, or at least the planet. Here is the water cooler that I'm using, Deep Cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool, Deep Cool. It's the white one. You can get different colors. It lights up and does all kinds of silly stuff. But I've been pleased with this. Look at this. I thought somebody had bent the dudes there, but it's just seeing through them. All right. Cool. That's what I've got. I have another SSD right there, which this is a 1 terabyte internal SSD. That's for data, pictures, movies, stuff like that. You can get, it's ridiculous now how cheap they are. 3 terabyte. It's crazy. This one's only $100. $100 for 1 terabyte of memory or data memory, yeah. Storage, I guess, is not memory but storage. That's crazy. And works really nicely, but it's SATA, so it's not that fast. And I've got an LG. I've got 2 monitors. This is my new one. I've got an older Samsung that's off to the side there, but I've been really pleased with this one. It's a relatively cheap. It's 4K and relatively cheap, so it's not amazing, but compared to the old Samsung I had, it's really good. So you can spend a lot of money on a top end monitor if you want to get really crazy with stuff your eye probably can't really see. But hey, if that's your thing and your eye can see it, or you're doing something that requires it, go for it. But this is one I have, an LG. It's only $328. Pretty cool. All right, that's my rig. There you go. That's all you get. Let's move on. Before we get to this, as you can see there on the screen, I wanted to say one more thing about building a computer. If you decide it really is actually pretty easy with just a little bit of research and time. But when you do it, especially on the first time, there will be 1 to 3 things that will drive you mad, and something won't work. Just up front, you're gonna load it or you're gonna put it together. You're gonna hit the button, and somewhere along the way, something is not going to work. And I've had all kinds of silly things happen. I'm not gonna go through it, but just be prepared for that. And my point of saying it is, you can actually get through it. Make sure you've got some other way to get to the internet while you're doing it. So if you bring down your rig and you're trying to bring this one up, make sure you have a way to get to the internet to troubleshoot. Because once you start Googling stuff, Google foo, you'll figure it out. Somebody's had that problem. They will tell you how to fix it. But if you don't have internet access, it can become frustrating. All right, SQ. So I had somebody, I think last week sometime I said he eschewed the armor, or the camo. Who was it? Somebody in a Tiger P. But anyway, Avoided Donut, I believe. It was a video from a replay that I did of Avoided Donut's game. And I said eschew. He eschewed the camo. And I got corrected, which is fine. That doesn't sound like it's fine, is it? It's fine. It's whatever. Fine. Correct me. That's not what I mean. That's what I mean. It actually is fine, because I like the English language. I like to use different words. I like to learn about it. So I have no problem. I've been corrected so many times on this channel about so many things. I've learned, and I learned from it, which is good. However, this one was interesting. The reason I'm bringing it up, because, well, let's just go to the tape. All right. What I was told is, hey, you're pronouncing that wrong, because it is eschew. Eschew. Okay? And I said eschew, right? All right, here we go. Ready?
Eschew, also eschew.
Oh!
Eschew, also eschew.
All right, to be fair, I looked up a lot of different of the dictionaries. This is who is this? www.emmasaying.com. She is the preeminent scholar of how to say things. The point is that apparently it can be said 2 ways. The most common, and the one I found the most, is eschew. Eschew. Which, that's a terrible word. He eschewed the camel. Eschewed. He eschewed. Is it now? Is it a verb, eschewed? Or is it just eschew? Is there any See, this is where I'm completely out of my depth on the language. I did say eschewed, though, when I said it on the video. In any event, it is fascinating how many different ways you can pronounce things. Potato, right? Trunk, boot, for my British friend. That's not really a pronounced thing. It's just a different word. All right, that's everything for SQ. Have we talked about tanks yet? I think we should probably talk about some tanks. All right, people, tanks. It's Father's Day, so there are some specials. And what does that mean, of course? Well, if there's specials, then there's codes. I haven't brought it up lately with Domo. Maybe Domo's watching. I don't know. Are we really getting a better deal with the codes, or are we just getting codes? I don't know. It's hard to tell, because there's no way really to weigh that other than the community guys and whoever does the specials and whatnot. Who does the specials? Is it the community guys, or is it the monetization guys, or is it like a collaboration? I don't know that. Probably internal information I don't really need to know. But that being said, if you go over here to Father's Day weekend specials and you scroll down, you will see a redeem code, which I did not see until this morning. So kind of forgot about it. Played quite a bit on Saturday. Actually enjoyed myself. Played some platoons. Forgot about the platoon bonus. Remember, there's a plus 15 bonus on that if you have a platoon and you have premium, 2 credits and experience. That's a big deal. Really makes platooning worth much more than it used to be. In any event, redeem the code. That's how you get some of these other missions right here, which we'll touch in just a moment. Do not forget your codes. Also, Father's Day specials. Look at this. This is some good stuff. I just bought, first time ever, really. I haven't done this too much. I just bought a bunch of repair kits because I was getting fairly low of the large variety. And they're 50% discounted, so really, you're making your money right there. That's pretty good. There are also some gold discounts on premium vehicles, the ones that are in the tech tree. So look out for those if you're interested in any of those tech tree tanks up to tier 8. And then some regular discounts, tier 5 vehicles at 50%. That's a heck of a deal. Tier 6 and 7, 8 and 10 at 15. Isn't there also a 10% discount on a couple of the tier 10s right now? So I guess they're overcome by now the 15% discount for at least this weekend anyway. And this is a big one if you're a free XP exchange kind of person. Then you may want to do that because it is 1 gold for 40. We actually just had one of those fairly recently, so a little bit surprised that happened so fast again. The Chrysler K, you might have noticed, maybe if you're in tier 8, you might have noticed a few extra Chrysler Ks in the queue and in your matches. Those are a 20 battle free rental, I believe, for everybody. So you can expect those to die off pretty quickly. And I don't know when it goes to. Maybe it's just this weekend. I think from reading it, what's happened is you're going to get 20 battles no matter what, but the specials for it, because there's a couple missions that go along with it, will go away after the weekend. That's my understanding of what's going on. So I think everyone's just got 20 battles sitting around. I have no idea how long that'll last, but from what I read, here it is right here. Let's see, does the rental period expire when the missions end or after I play? The rental period lasts for 20 battles, even if the mission expires. Well, there you go. That seems to indicate you're play your 20 battles. So I may actually throw a crew in there and get my 20 battles after the queue is not pure Chrysler Ks. Actually, it hasn't been that bad. I would say it's bad enough because it's 3 to 5 on each side. My friend and I played tier 6s a little bit, and it was a little bit miserable when a Chrysler K showed up on top of a tier 6 battle. Oh man. All right, that is that. Where are we? Codes, Father's Day. Oh, crew books. Let's talk about those for a minute. All right, crew books. You may have heard about those. Let's just talk about them for just a minute because they're pretty interesting. You can see that I've got this, what are we in? An AT8 called up. The way you know you have a new crew book, at least initially, because you were given one for every single one of your tanks, is you got this little red thing which shows something new. That's pretty standard for the UI. So you click on that, come down here to open crew books. It looks like I have one that's available for the British. And I look at this and I have a training booklet, which is only 20,000 experience. All right, that's a decent amount. 20,000 experience. So I can apply or I can purchase. So let's look at purchase for a second because this is what I did with the tank and why I wanted to bring this. 20,000 is good, but your first skill to 100% is 210,000, I believe. So your second skill is double that, 420, 840, blah, blah, blah. All right, so it doubles each time. So we'll look at this training manual, though, is 250. So if you realize 210 for my first skill, 250 covers that. So any crew that you want to get to that first skill, 6 cents, or maybe just get them all brothers in arms so they start working 6 cents, however you do your crew, it's only a training manual away, which means that when I click purchase, it's only 2 million credits. So essentially, your first skill for your crew is only 2 million credits and may be well worth the credits because you're sitting on 20, 30, 100 million, whatever a lot of people are. You're starting up a new tank, instead of grinding through to that first skill, throw down your 2 million credits, get your training manual of 250,000 experience, and boom, your guys have their first skill, 6 cents, all the first stuff. So not a bad way to do it, actually. And I did that with one of the tanks on stream, I think, as well. I just got tired of looking at them without 6 cents. I went ahead and knocked that out. I think it was on the Emil 1951 that I did. I just wanted to throw that out. That's a pretty good deal and will help a bit with the grind, especially. All right, shill in time. Let's shill. It is time. The Chrysler K obviously is there. They're selling that along with the rental. So, you know, the first hit is free and then you buy the rest of it from there. It comes in the standard packages. Looks like my coupon of 10% even applies to it, which is actually pretty cool. For some reason, any amount of gold is listed in the featured, and from what I can tell, it doesn't seem to be any kind of discount unless there's something I missed. It's not apparent on there when I click, so I don't know why that's really in featured other than just to throw it in there. For example, War Chest is minus 28%, but I don't see any bonuses on any of these four right here, so I don't know exactly what's going on. A bit of the hard sell on some of the frontline stuff. Remember, frontline's starting tomorrow on Monday. The Progetto, the Lorraine. Did I pronounce Progetto wrong? Progetto. Okay. The Canon 105. I know, Canonin of some kind, something like that. I don't know. The Canon 105, which is a very mobile TD with like a laser accurate and fast gun. Really pretty good for a casemate. I did a review on this one. There's the Lorraine again. And hey, this is my favorite, I think. I mean, seriously, who doesn't want 160 odd flags of every country for a mere $55.99? I would really like to know how many of those they sold. I'll never be told, but I would like to know. I think, and it's 50% off almost, 47% for all the flags. The tie-in was Flag Day, and somebody made a great joke. I think it was on Reddit. They're like, Sheldon would love this deal. He'd buy this deal. He may be the only person that would buy it. I don't know. Did anyone out? Did you guys buy a flag? Maybe you love the flags. I don't know. It's that one's weird, but I guess in the big picture, you look at it and go, "It's Flag Day. Let's sell flags. Let's see what happens." I don't know. Throw stuff out, see what sticks. Gold wise, coming over here, there are some small discounts on some of those things. The premium account is actually discounted because I have a coupon for these three particular ones, 10% off. Premium time doesn't get discounted a whole bunch, so if you're in the market for it, watch for those kind of things. Taking a look at vehicles, you'll see that once we get there, it is pretty much the frontline push, right? We've got the Chrysler K, obviously the Schmaltram isn't, the Canonin, the Lorraine, the Liberté, the Progetto. Yeah, definitely pushing for the front lines tanks, and that's fine. Lots of discounts on those things. I didn't really see anything super special. However, let's here we go. This is the specialist though, the most specialist of them all. So I'm scrolling through this. I'm doing my due diligence, right? 23 minutes or so of research to put this whole show together. I mean, I really dig into the weeds for you guys. Sometimes I go to 24 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So as I'm digging in, I'm looking at this. Okay, yeah, tanks and stuff. I'm like, oh, what's this? Black Panther style. But $8 for Black Panther style. What? $8. Black Panthers. Dude. Dude. What? WTF. All right. Let's gaze at the... Oops, got to go this way. Let's gaze. See that? I got to do the opposite thing. It's like the weatherman. They always talk about that when they have the green screen. They got to go the different way than they think it is. So it's actually over here for me, but for you, it's right here. Right here. There. Let's gaze in wonderment at the Black Panther style, because for $8, this thing should make my coffee, win the game driving backwards and shooting itself. All right, that's for $8. That's what it should do for a camo. All right, granted, it's kind of cool. There's a Black Panther on the side. Look at that. There's a Black Panther. Do you know for like 50 cents you can put like tigers and lions and bears and crap if you go into the external thing? You could put $2 or $1.50 of camo, and then another 50 cents or $1, whatever it is, for your lion thing, and you can have the Guido lion style for $2.50 or whatever it is. $8. I looked at it, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's a 3D style. It's not a 3D style. Doesn't change anything but the camo paint, and put a panther on it. There's no link to what this is linked to. I mean, it's not linked to the movie Black Panther or anything, I don't think. It's just an $8 style. You have got to be freaking kidding me. Look, I say it all the time. You do what you want with your money. I don't get too crazy about what's a ripoff and what's not. It's important to you. Somebody probably bought this, and they liked it enough that they got it. Okay, noted. It's a unique style, and I think that's what we're getting at here. But holy cow, go into your external thing and look at all the incredible amounts of styles and paints and things you can do, and then consider the prices of those. And then this is $8. I don't. All right, if we beat that to death, we beat that to death. We have beat that to absolute death. Let's back out of this. And nothing else really going on the, where are we, specials. Standard, same, not standard, but the same tanks that you saw already. The Su-85I is out there. It's a casemate TD. A lot of people like it. What is it, tier 5 or so? It's all right. And then some smaller tanks. Times 10 on the parking pass. I always talk about that. That's a good deal at 50% off if you're looking. Although for me, I think if you play enough, you're going to have quite a few garage slots built up because they give them for quite a bit of stuff. I have 20 vacant myself. But if you're pressed for space, that's a pretty decent deal. All right, guys, let's move on. Where are we? We're going to have a cup of coffee. I'm actually going to go make another cup. Oh, look, I brought up my my CoffeeTalk. Look, you can see all the things that we're going to talk about right here. I should edit that out. I'm not going to because it's already gone long. Where are we? Oh, yeah, we're done with missions and specials. We're done shilling. No, we're not. We are not done with missions and specials. We got to talk about the missions, don't we? We got to talk about the missions. Wow, this one's been a little loosey-goosey, hasn't it? That's the term of the day. A little loosey-goosey. We're just sort of flowing, going with the flow. I'm almost done with coffee, so I'm going to have to go make another cup. Notice that this is the big cup, so I had enough fuel for a long flight. I didn't have to do any refueling ops yet. I'm going to have to land here in a minute, though. Frontline is starting. Frontline Monday, so we're back to the next episode. I do have the Emil 1951 review out there. The reason I'm bringing this up is, as far as events and missions go, this is the episode 5 that we're coming up on, where if you are 2 ahead, you will be able to unlock the Emil 1951. You'll have enough prestige points, I think they call them, which I believe it's 12, and you'll be able to get the 1951. So you're going to see some more 1951s show up. However long it takes people to get one more prestige level, and sometimes they do it in a day or two. So I would expect by Monday or Tuesday you're going to see a whole bunch more 1951s running around. You may even see them. Probably people unlock them and play them in Frontlines. Keep on grinding. Because really, ultimately, I think everyone's pressing for that Tier 9. Which is, by the way, still a mystery. Someone asked me if I knew what it is. I have no idea what it is, and I'm being completely honest with you. If I did and it was under NDA, then I wouldn't tell you, obviously. But I might say I know what it is, but I can't tell you. I actually have no idea. I don't think they're going to tell the CCs, to be quite honest. There's no reason to. It's not like we're going to get one, I think, to do. Well, we might. I don't know. I'm not sure how that's going to go. We might get one to do content really close in, but I feel like no. I feel like they're going to wait for it to be a no kidding reveal. So I may have to grind to get it. All right. Another tangent. Fantastic. Missions. Play your tank class right. No sense looking at that. We know what that does. ×2 Crew XP Weekend. That's the one you had to put the code in. There's the various challenges to get some goodies. So do it to it. Looks like it's tier dependent. Yes, tier dependent. All right. Tier 2 to 5. Huh? There you go. Some small repair kits from tier 2 to 5. Tank rewards. I've already gone over this. I'm not going to do it. I'm a little behind the power curve. I don't think I'm going to get to the free tank because you have to play tier levels. Tier, whatever it is. There's 9 and 10, 7 and 8, and I think 4 to 6, something like that. So there's 3 different ones plus another mission on top that can be any tier. You get X yada yada number of points, but since I already own those tanks that are prizes, I'm not even going to get credits for them, so there's no reason to get to the top level. I do want to get to the second from the top level because it's got the crew books going on. And I'm about to hit the second level of reward because that one's got another free garage slot and some other goodies. The reserves, I think, are the big things. All right, so do your tank rewards. Remember, it's tankrewards.com. You got to go to that site, and you have to log in with your Wargaming login, and then it will tell you what your points are. I showed you that last week. If you don't understand how to do that, send me a message on the Comments down below, and I'll do something for y'all to show you. But it's not hard. You're big boys. Put your big boy pants on, or girls, or whatever. Dude, I feel like I have to say that these days. So what? How do you do? You know what? All right. So this is gonna. I don't want to go. I don't want to go there because we're gonna. It's gonna slightly get into politics, and I just don't want to go in there. It's. Let's just say it's confusing. Can we leave it at that? Echo missions are for the captured tiger. You can see I've cruised through a couple of them, and 2 more into there. I don't. How long do these go? Oh, July 1st. So there is a time limit on these. All right. So if you got your free. So how many times have I said so? So if you got your captured tiger C or your king tiger C captured, you have until 1 July to finish those missions and get that extra experience. Somebody was saying it comes out as free experience, but this says combat experience. I don't think that's true because I believe I tested that. So I'm gonna try to test it on this. Anybody have any experience with that? Let me know down below. Because my concern here and my complaint was that it just comes up as regular experience, which doesn't help you because it's a premium tank. But if it's going to free, if 30,000 go to free experience, that's a heck of a deal. But I don't think that's what's happening. Anywho, M4 MLE 54 on track. Other missions is standard garbage, and it's not garbage. Standard missions and premium missions, which you're probably not going to see. I'm going to click on this. Oh, look at this. Yeah, see my head, my cranium's in the way right there. But that's the standard stuff for a premium account. You should be cranking out some pretty good bonds with that if you're playing daily. Getting your 5 kills. Done shilling, done with the missions. Time to move on. Subjects du jour. And I have to go get another coffee reload. Let's see, any other tangents I want to talk about? No, I don't think so. I think we're good. We'll tangent later. We are back. We are back. I'm reloaded, and I did not eschew. I did not eschew the creamer, so I have plenty of creamer. I've been trying to cut back because I recently started running again, which mostly consists of fat guy in small running shorts. Anybody had this, gone through this, retired 5 years ago, 2 years did pretty good. Still working out, still maintaining a decent level of fitness, but the last 3 years I've gone to ground, almost completely sedentary. So actually there was a year transition where it was a bit of a struggle. It fits and starts, and then it's just fallen off for 2 years. So I decided to start running again. We're gonna get fit. Should take a week, right? Something should be 2 weeks max. Should be sorted out. Get into my running drawer. The shorts haven't seen the light of day for 2 years. They're like, dude, what do you want? So clearly you're not going to go buy new shorts, right? Because you're going to get fit, and you're going to shrink. So you will fit back into the shorts, right? But right now the shorts are like, oh man. It's maybe a picture you don't want. Could be a picture you don't want. Random tangents are in order. The reason random tangents are in order is when I went to get my coffee refilled, I walked by again my Father's Day present, which is apparently a giant box. It looks like Christmas, actually. I think it is Christmas wrapping, to be honest. But it's only about 2/3 wrapped because they either lost interest or ran out of paper. I don't know, but it's a big box. The top's all nice, and then the paper goes down, and then it kind of stops. It just stops being a present at the bottom and becomes a cardboard box. I think I know what it is. In fact, I'm sitting on the old one. I think it's a nicer new one. This one's kind of broken. I should actually show you, but I have a piece of wood under 2 of the legs. I think I've mentioned it before. The wheels are wonky. So I can't actually go anywhere. I just sit here. I was considering getting a big gaming one, right? Would that be cool with the speakers in the back, and then my gaming cred. What I need is a sponsor from a gaming company to give me a chair. See, now I'm what is it? See, word's gone again. Word's gone again. Where were we? Subjects du jour. Okay. Subjects du jour. Oh, my cranium is behind this thing. I'm going to click this. You know what? I'll just do this. You know what it is. It's session stats, right? Somebody brought up a great question about this, which I did not realize until I thought about it. There's no win rate in your session stats on the UI. So you can't see it, but there is. Well, I haven't played a game, but it says you can't see it, but it says victories. All right, so it will show you your victories. It will show you your total number, but it won't say you're 7-4 or 10-11 or 5-97, whatever it is. You have to do that math, and I'm just struck with why. All right, I sort of know why. At least I think I sort of know why. It's because they don't want to remind people if they're having a bad day, and then you get the whole conspiracy, the game's out to get me. Somebody will do the math on the session stats, and they'll tell you, hey, at X, you're going to start losing. You know, all that kind of stuff. But it drives me crazy when companies run away from stuff like that just to try to not make it an issue. You know, Yazen which is kind of the standard for session stats, I think that everybody uses, most everybody, is extremely good, has all kinds of great detail. It's well formatted and set out. And I've mentioned this, I was going to say 100 times. I don't have 100 videos, but I'm sure I've mentioned it 100 times counting streams, that the format and basis for a good, let's put it over here, that's where it is. The format and basis for a good session stat exists, Wargaming. It's done. It's popular. It's downloaded by 100,000 people. It works. We get their version, which has some good stuff and some useless stuff on it. I don't know, folks. I wonder how nice my chair is. I was told not to open it up. I should open it up and I could be sitting in it right now, but I'm not. I'm sitting in this old uncomfortable chair. Uncomfortable chair. All right, what else we got? We have, tank buffs. Hey, the Leopard is good. The Leopard is really good. Now, it's still a paper tank, so you've got to be careful with the way you play it, but it does what it was supposed to be, or what in theory it was. It's a mobile sniper, and I mean it is a sniper. There's a couple videos out there from the other guys. I want to say Des Games. I think Skill has a video. I think even Klaus has a video on it. And I want to say True Voodoo as well did one, potentially. And Cody Menz also. So I've covered a good portion of the English-speaking guys. I'm sure the big guys, Quickie, has done it. But anyway, fantastic, man. I mean, it hits what you aim at for the most part. Now, you still have the dispersion thing, but it starts with a tight dispersion and gets even tighter. I am reminded of the video I did a few weeks back, and I didn't mention it at the time because when I was editing and I looked at it, I was talking about pulling weeds, doing this, pulling weeds out of the garden. And when I saw it on video, I'm like, oh my God, that does not look good. Yeah, it's all in innocence, right? We don't have to turn everything into innuendo. Anyway, I'm Italian. I talk with my hands. That's what happens. Kids don't talk with their hands, though, do they? They talk with their phones. You know, my son. This is Tangent Sunday. All right, we're really gonna get into the tangents today. Eventually, we'll talk about tanks. But my son comes to me and he says, "Hey, Dad, my phone is on its last legs. My phone is on its last legs," and I'm thinking, okay, got a problem with your phone. What's going on with your phone? Well, I mean, the screen's cracked, and let me see it. So I take his phone, and I'm like, what in the actual F? It looks like he's used it to, you know, in Fortnite where you build stuff. I think he's used his phone to build forts. Right? It's been a screwdriver. It's been a hammer. It got ran over by a mouse that's then reversed and ran over it again. Not a mouse like a little mouse, but a mouse. That's what I did there. In any event, his phone is, spit right there. His phone is absolutely hammered. Now, I bought the family phones, all the same phone at the same time, because I got tired of paying whatever, X amount a month. So I bit the bullet. I bought him at the beginning, which he proceeded to immediately jump into the bay with it in his pocket, and I had to get him another one. Because you know what I don't do? I don't get the warranty because that's a ripoff. My wife looked at me and she's like, "Do you know this kid?" I'm like, "No, I've never met this kid. I don't know who he is." So he says, "Dad, the phone is broken. It's not working." I'm like, "Give me that." So I'm like, I'm like, I need to get rid of that. My daughter is killing me with the like, and now it has affected me. It's like a contagion, a disease. It's like a disease. Like, you know what I mean? Those are hard to get rid of, those little affectations that you have in your speech. If you don't think about it, it's like hard. Anyway, where was I? The phone. Looking at it, in the screen is spider-webbed. The case looks like wild dingoes have chewed on it. I'm thinking, the case is to protect it, but this one has done its job, right? It tried. It could not save the screen. I think the little switch is broken on the side. It did its best, but the wild dingoes ate the rest of it. It was a tough case. In fact, he's on case protector number 3. So he says it's broken, and I say, "Buddy," because I'm looking at my daughter's, and hers is more or less pristine. Mine is probably the best of the family. My wife has the big one. They're all iPhones. Hers is probably really the best. She's very careful with hers. But none of ours are broken like his is. And so I'm going to be the instructor, right? Hey, let's talk about why your phone is this way. And I say something to the effect of, you need to treat the thing better. And he goes, "What? What? So I broke it?" And I'm thinking, oh boy. So the answer to that question, my friend, is yes, you did break it. Not my fault, all that good stuff. So the other day he comes home and he says, "Hey, it's completely broken. Completely doesn't work at all. All right, give it to me." "No, Dad, I'm telling you, it's broken. Just give me the thing." He says it won't hook up to the data. It won't go to the cell network anymore. And my friend, his phone does the exact same thing. It's the same model. He bought it about the same time, and he says he took it to the store and they said they can't do anything about it. It can't be fixed. I need a new phone. Give me the phone. He's like, "No, Dad, it's broken." You ever have that? They come to you with a problem. "Hey, fix this problem." You start troubleshooting the problem. "Hey, have you tried to turn it on and off? Have you looked to see if your cellular data is hooked up? Have you updated it?" And it's nothing but, "You don't know what you're talking about, Dad. It's broken." So making a long story longer, yesterday he comes out and he goes, "Oh, it seems to be working." I said, "Really? Is it magic? Did it just repair itself? Doctor, heal thyself? What happened?" More than likely, he did several of the things I suggested he do, and it repaired it. Okay, that's enough of that. That is enough of that. I'm sure you've all had that same thing if you've got kids. Something like it. Subjects du jour. Leo's good. Indian mutts and mutts are much better. The STA2 is really good. I really like the STA2, and that's the premium. I think the STA1 also was upgraded. These are the tier 8. One of them's a premium. The other one's basically a standard tech tree. Japanese medium tank. The STA2 always felt like a slug when you drove it, but it's actually really nice now, and it's much zippier. I wouldn't call it very fast necessarily, but it's much zippier and better gun. It's just good. The STB1, jury is out for me on that one. I don't like the pneumatic suspension. I really do not like it. Taking a -10 depression, which was very usable in all cases, which is what it used to have. Did it even have a little bit more off to the side? I think it was one of those tanks that did. But anyway, it was -10. And changing it to -6 standard, but 6 more if you're crawling around really slow. Terrible. Just terrible. Now, a lot of whatever, many of the YouTubers and streamers actually love it. So jury's out for me. That's why I said it on that. I do have a 1951 review. You can see it there in the garage. That's the one I've talked about. Here's a good one. Let me find this real quick. Hold on. Here it is. See how smooth that was? Got it. You may notice this has two guns. And it's an ST1. I think it's going to be called the ST-II or ST2. With 222 millimeter guns on it. It's in the super test. So apparently we're about to get an ST1 that has two guns on it. If it's the 122, that's going to be interesting. I'm assuming it's a tier 9 tank, and it will have two 122. If you recall, the 122 on the Russian tanks is pretty bad as far as pen goes. So it'll be interesting what they do balance-wise for the pen on this, because it's going to have two guns with 390 alpha, provided the 390 stays for the standard 122 or Soviet gun. I don't know how they balance that, to be honest. I mean, if it doesn't have a whole lot of pen, okay, great, you have two guns, but if you can't pen anything, if you up the pen so it can pen things, now you're dropping two 390 alpha shells. It's kind of like a two shell autoloader at 390 alpha. Of course, the IS-3 has that, doesn't it? IS-3A. Should be interesting to see where this goes, but a new game mechanic apparently of a two-gun tank. This was something that was proposed, I don't think ever built. Kind of interesting looking. Looks like a bit like a space tank or something you might draw as a 15-year-old in class when you're bored. Interesting. Let's move on. Right. Oh, I gotta tell you what I'm laughing at. Okay, got my coffee. Improving battle balance for Frontline episode 5. So it's about, we're almost done. Stick with me. We're getting there. Frontline starts tomorrow, Monday, June 17th, goes to Monday, June 24th, really Sunday night, early Monday morning. How can I get to Frontline? You should know that if you're playing it. It's not that hard. Why Frontline? Okay, you can get the ML 1951. Yay, hooray, some tanks. Okay, this is the changes. This is interesting. So what have the complaints about Frontline been? Recently, it's too easy for the attackers to win, so too hard for the defenders. The fast tanks are getting in behind everything and taking down turrets, so people are winning really quickly, not allowing other people to farm and get damage. And perhaps artillery is maybe a little bit overpowered, because it used to have 3 slots and light tanks had 3 slots. So light tanks have been kind of ruling the roost as far as being able to level up. So that's kind of a double whammy. You had light tanks that were being able to get to general. When I have my best games, I play a lot of light tanks. That's just how it goes. They had the 3 combat directives that they could use, or what are they called? Combat reserve slots. They had 3. The Arty had 3. Heavy tanks had 1. Medium tanks, I think, had 1. So there's a couple sort of related issues going on right there, and they changed some things. The first thing is, you can see that the reserve slots over there, the reserve slots have changed considerably. On episode 4, the light tanks had 3, now they have 1. Very interesting. Medium tanks have 2 where they had 1, and heavy tanks now have 3 where they had 1. So now a heavy tank is going to have an airstrike and an artillery strike and a spotting plane or something like that. Very interesting. So it's going to be a little bit more self-sufficient, getting itself around the map and being able to support its own self, while the light tanks hair off into the backfield or whatever it is that they're doing. Spotting is not really a thing. Spotting is a thing in that, yes, vision matters, and if you get spotted first, then people can shoot you. But is spotting like you might see in a pub match where you get somebody locking down an area in a light tank? Doesn't happen too much in Frontline, because it's just such a wide range of maps, and there's so much maneuver room and cover and ways to move forward. Kind of interesting as far as that goes. TDs stay at 2, and artillery goes from 3 to 1. So we'll see how that works. This is another big change. One of the complaints was people could get the light tanks, the fast tanks, back to the pillbox, so you didn't really have any idea. I think it actually told you it's being attacked, but you had no idea how many were there, where they were sometimes. So now a pillbox is actually going to be able to spot for itself. Not for itself, but for the team. So that if the pillbox is going to have a 445, you can read the details right there. what was happening a lot is fast TDs or light tanks would get into a spot and they could shoot the pillbox, but the pillbox couldn't see them, or the people couldn't see them where that tank was. If they get spotted while shooting the pillbox, then you could drop things like artillery and airstrikes on them and kind of help defend your pillbox a little bit. So that's changed quite a bit with the pillboxes spotting things. For me, that's not the fix. The problem is the fast tanks getting back, and even the real problem for me is that those back sectors are open as soon as someone goes through one lane. The fix for me, for a bunch of light tanks raging back and ending the game fast because they jump all over a pillbox that you can't possibly react to fast enough as the defense, and that's the problem, you can't, is not to give them view range and some other mess. It's to force the attacking team to get 2 lanes before they can get into the last sector. I really think that's what has to happen to help the defenders, to make defending a little bit easier and maybe even this thing up. So the attacking team would have to win 2 lanes before they could go back into the last sector. I think that would have been the fix, but we'll see how this goes. This one was a little bit odd. I'm going to read it here because we've reduced the technical cooldown on respawn to 10 seconds, which was 30 seconds. That's when you get killed. You were waiting 30 seconds at least, as long as you had an additional tank ready or available, and you could have 2 at any one time, depending on how long you played, from 30 to 10 seconds. I like that. They get you back into the game faster, so no problem there. But at the same time, they changed the restoration of a tank from 5 to 7, which means you don't have to fight 5. Sorry, you don't have to fight. You now have. I'll spit it up. You now have to fight 7 minutes before you get another extra tank. And it was interesting to me because where does it say it? Yeah, instead of 30, now you have less downtime in the game. Play and farm at your pleasure. Well, wait a minute. You increased. In addition, we're increasing the restoration time. So wait a minute. Don't play and farm at your pleasure. Be careful. This change will raise the cost of a mistake in battle. Play and farm at your pleasure. This change will raise the cost of a mistake in battle. I don't know. I encourage you to play more carefully with your favorite tanks. Your team needs you, so be careful and plan your actions a few paces ahead. I ran into that, and I will see how frustrating this gets, because if you lose a couple tanks right in a row, you pick the wrong place to spawn, or there's guys around you when you spawn in. Let's say you make a mistake with your first tank, and the second one you spawn in, and all of a sudden you don't realize that the enemy team's kind of all around you already. You picked a heavy or something slow, and you're dead, and now it's 7 minutes. 5 was bad enough, and usually it wasn't 5. It was usually, I had seen 4:30 and 4:45. Right, 5 is where it starts, and you'd have to die really quickly to be actually seeing 5. But now 7, man, I don't know. I don't know where that came from. I'm not sure what that's supposed to fix, unless there was something where people were able to kill their tank by holding J, I think it is, whatever it is, and then move to somewhere else fast. Maybe people were doing that. I didn't notice that necessarily, but maybe that's one of the ways that the faster tanks were able to get around to different places. Because I've mentioned it before in Frontline, if you spawn into the wrong place in the wrong tank, you can have an absolutely miserable experience. So you do have to be careful where you spawn in. So anyway, those are some of the changes that you guys might like to know that. Well, that's pretty much it. We talked a lot and about a lot of stuff. I'm not going to do a forum post of the week, other than to mention one interesting thing that happened on the NA forums this week was somebody went through and brought back a bunch of old controversial posts. So periodically we get trolls that come through there, and they revive, or necro as they say on forums, posts from 2-3 years ago, usually dealing with Artie or Matchmaker or RNG or whatever, and then they throw some pithy one-liner onto it. They do 5, 6, 7 of them, and then everyone's off to the races, all arguing about the same thing that from a post that's 3 years old. I think that's kind of garbage. I don't know. Some people get a joy out of being a pain in the arse, but that kind of drives me crazy. I mean, whatever. You don't have to respond to it, right? Just ignore it. But still, it garbages up the forums and makes it a worse place. So if that's one of you guys, stop it. All right. Well, that's it. Father's Day. Have a good Father's Day. Grill out. Let your family make you a mediocre breakfast, whatever it is they love doing for you. I think that's it. So I'm going to say like one more time, and okay, and all right. I think those are all my good ones. I'm going to check out. I'm going to edit this thing, get it out there. See you guys later. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, I think Monday we'll do a stream.